It's just one more day, one more step, another shift, another meal. Bad family calls and good ones. New friends come and old ones leave. Home is home, and the world keeps spinning, even as it seems to remain in stasis. What type of feeling does Rilakkuma and Kaoru give people? That is something that I want to try and describe today. One major appeal of this show is its unique and beautiful stop-motion aesthetic, paired with a consistent stream of cute and funny moments. But between these moments is a real feel of home. Our lead, Kaoru, is a single woman slowly approaching her middle-aged years. She works at a corporate job and lives in an old, cheap apartment with two very out-of-place bears and her pet, Kiratori. Over the 13 half-length episodes of this anime, we see an entire year of her life in mostly her eyes, the ups and downs and everything in between. And while it never gets too dramatic or serious, there is always a lingering sadness in the air. This isn't, of course, an oppressive sadness though, but a more lethargic and light one, like a breeze over the setting. Like the show is recognizing the big and small problems and feelings of others, but looking at them in a broader scope of things and choosing to recognize the absurdity in the characters being alive at all. A strange sort of vibe that feels like it's showing you that you're just an ant spinning around on the globe, but that meaning can be created where you desire it to be. Like in the second episode where they learn about Tokyo, a kid in their apartment building that rarely sees his mother because she's always at work, and his father isn't exactly in the picture. Small details as well hint that he may be bullied for living in an old, cheap apartment building. It's sort of somber, but those moments don't get nailed down. They're brief wisps in his greater life, and that greater life that is shown and focused on is in his fun misadventures with Rilakkuma and Kaoru. At many other points throughout the series, Kaoru contemplates problems and dissatisfaction she has with herself. She sees a stray cat for free, and a cat in the store for 150,000 yen. She wonders if people are also like that. That even though they're both cats, even though they're both people, if some people just have more value than others. And of course, and she takes this to consider, what if she has no value? She muses about things like being incredibly indecisive at one point, and almost lets it ruin her time at a festival. She ponders about if she really likes or wants to be herself when her co-workers don't invite her to group dates because she's too serious. She gets frustrated thinking about how it seems like it can never feel like she knows what she wants to do when other people make it look so easy. And that one hit really hard for me. She gets insecure in the first episode when her friends are all too busy to come to the annual picnic, so she ends up sitting there and just drinking by herself. She also continues to muse about how she still hasn't found a boyfriend to love, spend time with, and take to vacation spots like Hawaii. She wonders if she's getting too old to find someone that she would actually fall in love with. This might make you think that this show is depressing, but it really isn't. These moments with the other characters and with Kaoru just serve to ground them to their world. These little thoughts, I bet, are pretty normal parts of most people's lives. People second guess and reconsider themselves and their choices. Some days we may feel great, and sometimes we get swept up in our own negativity. Sometimes that negativity is warranted, and sometimes it isn't. Still, where all of these lows happen, Rilakkuma, Rilakkuma, and Kiratori are almost always there. In one episode, she gets so desperate that she starts to buy a bunch of different things in order to see a mailman, purely because he happened to walk in one day to their work with a package and she was swooned by him. She wants to see him so badly that she spends all of this money on deliveries until she's in big debt. It took a comical moment, it wasn't anything that was played seriously, but then it brought it back to crushing reality. But even then, there is no defeatist attitude. Her first response to the massive amount of debt is that they would have to just cut back on snacks, but they'll make it. So, when she goes to work, the two Kumas and Kiratori all go out and try to make money to help her. Rilakkuma and Kiratori are able to get good jobs and get some money, but of course she doesn't accept that money. It's super cute and funny to watch them work at their jobs too. But Rilakkuma isn't able to successfully do much anything and earn any money. He feels bad, like he can't help her, and so she lifts his spirits. Maybe that's a good way to put it. It's like all of these characters are living, doing the best they can, and when somebody goes through something bad, another character will just try and help them up again. Something I really think increased the sentimentality as well was the music that they had chosen. The pieces really drive home the life goes on, somber but joyful mentality. And to give some credibility to this mood I'm feeling, I actually got my friend Shabu to listen to it, and he agreed with me. He's a professional composer, and he could make technical sense of all the things that I was feeling in the music. I loved the small soundtrack for this, and want to praise it in a way that does it justice, so I actually brought him on to talk about one of the theme tracks that play consistently throughout. The piece is called Everyday Quiet. His thoughts were super interesting and insightful to me, so I decided to include them here.
Without going into really heavy detail, there are a few things that make this piece melancholic and happy at the same time. One of the first things I noticed was the tempo and rhythm. While the tempo is probably around 120 beats per minute, many of the sections feel more like 60 because of the way the chords and melody often accent beats 1 and 3. This isn't for all sections though, as there are sections that break out of this rhythm and have more flow. This switch back and forth isn't just good composition, but also instills both happy and sad feelings. Beyond this, the instrumentation is playful and fun. Piano and marimba are common instruments in light scores, and pitch percussion in general are used a ton in children's shows and toys. This may subconsciously tie the listener to happier or simpler times or instill a feeling of playtime. The way they're mixed, though, is really interesting. The piano mixed for sharpness and clarity, while the marimba is made to take full advantage of its full-bodied tone and is a bit more washed. This accents the melody and harmony, which are written to stop at quote-unquote home very rarely. This is a double-edged sword, as it can give the melody and harmony a feeling of cheekiness or fun, but can also be used to stir up light feelings of unease, adding to the, you guessed it, melancholic feeling. This idea is further accented by the amount of open space. Especially in the slower sections, the open space is palpable. There are many times where the only sound is the light reverb from the last note or chord before the next one is played. This gives a feeling of space and can instill feelings of loneliness or melancholy in an otherwise upbeat and fun piece.
While editing this video, I realized I want to mention one more thing about the music. The main song, Somber, which I think's lyrics really beautifully represent a lot of what this show is going for, and a lot of what I feel from it. There are a couple different versions, but I think the lyrics remain basically the same. Here are a few stanzas that I like. Even when tomorrow comes, the scenery won't change at all. No matter what you do, you have the same silly feelings. Even if you make mistakes, or you have regrets that you can't get rid of, or love so powerful that you can't control it. In just the time it takes you to blink, the seasons will change. So don't go chasing after them. Spring is coming in just a little while. And finally, do you think whining about the way that you feel is going to change anything? When tomorrow comes, you'll probably change your tune anyway. Sure, bad things happen. Good ones do too. The wilts and blossoms of life can empower and destroy us. It's important to take note and realize that we aren't just branches in the wind. We have lives, and so many places to travel. We may get hit or pulled or swayed along, but these things are not always like that. We have decisions, ideas, thoughts, and opinions. We are able to love things, love people, and people are able to reciprocate in that same way. Things don't always work out. Sometimes they do. And when our seasons of bad luck wane, it's true that we can always look into a blue sky and realize how small we are. But for how small we are, how much more does that give us to explore? Everything I've said contributes to the beautifully unique but familiar tone that this show has. The somber joy of life. The somber joy of Rilakkuma and Kaoru. Also, if you haven't, please go watch it. It's easily the best show of this season, and it really deserves more attention. I hope you all had a good day, and have a good week. Thank you so much again, Whizbang2093, Akio, Frillneck Lizard, Thomas Greenway, CJ, and all of my other patrons for moving me more close to supporting myself financially in a full capacity. Thank you as well for making it this far into the video. If you feel so inclined, check out another one of my videos or follow me on Twitter. And until then, I'll see you next week.